Per longstanding tradition, as sitting president, Donald Trump was interviewed before the Super Bowl, this time by Fox News host Bret Baier. Despite the fact that it was a softball interview by a sympathetic host, Trump still crashed and burned on live TV, unable to answer questions about your skyrocketing grocery prices, why Elon Musk needs access to your most sensitive information, including your social security number, and why he hasn't done more to unify the country. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. Donald Trump can't even nail a softball interview. I mean, especially when confronted about, his promises to reduce your gas and grocery prices, to bring the country together, and even with respect to Elon Musk. But I want to focus on the grocery situation first, because surprisingly, Bret Baier of Fox News asked Trump about it, presumably because he genuinely thought that Trump would have a good answer. He didn't.
If all goes to plan, when do you think families will be able to feel prices going down, groceries, energy, or are you kind of saying to them, hang on, inflation may get worse until it gets better?
No, I think we're going to become a rich. Look, we're not that rich right now. We owe $36 trillion. That's because we let all these nations take advantage of us. Same thing, like $200 billion with Canada. We owe 300. We have a deficit with Mexico of $350 billion. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let that happen.
All goes.
So you see how he whiffs this very easy answer? It's like, Trump, wait a minute. What are you going to do? Because you were elected to lower people's gas and grocery prices, and instead he turns to the trade agreement with Canada and Mexico. I'll remind you, it was Donald Trump himself who negotiated the most recent trade deal with Mexico and Canada. So if he's bitching about the arrangement between the United States and those two countries, our top two trading partners, he himself is directly responsible for that. It's his fault. But the fact of the matter is, Donald, you weren't elected to trigger unnecessary trade wars with our top three trading partners. You were elected to lower grocery prices, to lower gas prices. And you'll recall, Trump repeatedly promised to do so on the campaign trail, even on his first day in office. That's what he told us. It's so easy. On my first day in office, we'll cut your grocery bills, we'll cut your gas bills, because it's just too ridiculous. And instead, they're skyrocketing on his watch. We'll play another clip in just a second, but this is from a recent YouGov poll. It was just dropped today, that even though in this particular poll, Donald Trump actually fares better than you would expect, when the question turns to lowering prices, 66%, a supermajority, say that Donald Trump is not doing enough to lower the grocery and gas prices of the American people, including his voters. And again, watching him struggle on this, I just want to play one other clip from a speech he gave, or rather remarks he gave last night before we go back to the Super Bowl interview. But this is Donald Trump on grocery and gas prices in real time, thinking he discovered a magical word called grocery, and then realizing in real time, oh my God, the facts don't align with what I'm saying here. Watch this.
I hear so much about the word groceries. I used to use groceries a lot on the trail. A word, it's like sort of an old-fashioned word, groceries. But groceries is the word that's the most accurate word. And the price of groceries went through the roof. Bacon was levels like nobody's ever seen. You take a look at eggs today. I mean, the eggs are double, triple, quadruple. They're going through the roof. Now, there's some problems that may, a little outside problem with eggs maybe. But, we inherited a mess. I hear.
He's the one. Did you see him in real time going like, oh my God, I'm describing things that are happening on my watch. I should not be drawing attention to the fact that gas and grocery prices are rising on my watch, even though I assured the American people I'd get it done in a single damn day. And to listen to him talk about groceries, nobody ever used that word. It's a magical word. This guy is totally divorced from reality. But we'll continue.
All the swing states. Have you thought about how to try to bring the country together, to reach out or to find common ground? Have you thought about that, or how that might go?
I'd love to do it, but I would say this. We have to come together, but to come together, there's only one thing that's going to do it, and that's massive success. Success will bring the country together, but it's hard. And I say it's hard. I just signed a bill allowing for women not to have to be punished by men in sports. In other words, men are not going to be allowed to play in sports against women. It's ridiculous.
So, when asked about what you're going to do to bring the country together, he doesn't actually have a coherent answer. He notice how he doesn't say, "Well, actually, this is how I've engaged with Democrats, Democratic governors, Democrats attorneys general, Democratic senators, Democratic lawmakers. I really want to be a unifier." Instead, he says, "Well, yeah, we got to do it, but success, and also," and then he picks a niche culture war issue. He doubles down on a hyper-partisan red meat issue about trans people, okay, because he knows it's good red meat for his base, even though it affects very, very few people in this country. He has no interest in unifying. None. At least President Biden attempted to do so. We looked at President Biden's record, the American Rescue Plan, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, so many of the manufacturing investments and just investments, period, that went into those sweeping laws were disproportionately represented in red states. Think about that. States that hated Biden, that voted against Biden, led by politicians who despised him, disproportionately benefited from his investments, from partisan legislation. Biden's partisan agenda helped his opposition more than Donald Trump intends to do in this term. He has no interest in it. It doesn't even occur to him. I won. I don't need to worry about reaching out to Democrats. Again, a layup question that Bret Baier was offering, like, dude, I'm trying to help you out, especially if you really want to cement your legacy. Talk about what you're going to do to work with Democrats. But you know what? I actually want to give Bret Baier some credit here for asking the question, because as I've complained about for years, that's usually a question reserved for Democratic politicians. Mainstream media, conservative media always ask, what are Democrats going to do to reach across to Republicans and conservatives? We always have to answer that question. Republican politicians never have to answer this question. This is the first time I've heard an actual journalist present that to a Republican. Hey, what are you going to do to work with your opponents? Because you actually have to work with them. You should be. You're the president of the United States, right? You're supposed to represent everybody. You're supposed to work with everybody. That's not just for Democratic presidents. So kudos to Bret Baier for actually directing that question to Donald Trump and expecting an answer, but unfortunately not getting one. Also during the interview, Trump doubles down again on this idea that Canada should be annexed into the United States and become the 51st state.
You know, the Prime Minister said this weekend to a group of Canadian businessmen, he was at a private meeting, he said that your wish for Canada to be the 51st state is a, quote, real thing. Is it a real thing?
Yeah, it is. I think Canada would be much better off being a 51st state, because we lose $200 billion a year with Canada, and I'm not going to let that happen. It's too much. Why are we paying $200 billion a year essentially in subsidy to Canada? Now, if they're a 51st state, I don't mind doing it.
You said the tariff is a beautiful, you know.
The reason that we are paying what he thinks we're paying is because of a deal Trump himself signed. You signed the damn deal. The United States, Mexico, Canada joint agreement. That was Trump's deal. He didn't inherit it from anybody. So this is again, the cognitive dissonance here. Trump either creates problems that don't exist or campaigns on solving problems that he himself created. And there's no pushback. Bret Baier should have been like, well, wait, didn't you ink the deal? Didn't you ink the deal that has created this disparity, if what you say is true? And also, didn't at the time that you inked that deal, you referred to it as the greatest deal in the history, trade deal in the history of the United States? Again, just a total dissonance, because Republicans and MAGA Republicans in particular are not obligated to adhere to a consistent set of facts or reality as we understand it. Here's another clip.
Great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. But I can't.
So again, Elon Musk has been a bit of an albatross around Trump's neck politically here lately, because Musk is actually extremely unpopular with the American people. It turns out that even many Trump supporters, I wouldn't say most, at least not yet, but many Trump supporters who back Trump don't want an unelected MAGA billionaire pulling Trump's strings, as he is clearly shown to be doing. They appreciate the financial boost he got. They love that he owns the libs, but then they want him to shut the hell up and stay out of government. Nobody elected you. You weren't Senate confirmed. Stay out. help, cheer from the sidelines if you want, do what you want as far as influencing campaigns, but otherwise back off. It turns out Musk is turning people, even in MAGA, against that whole initiative. But he also is the richest man on earth, and Trump loves money. And Trump doesn't run for, unless he violates the 22nd Amendment, Trump isn't going to try to run for a third term. So he needs money, or thinks he needs money, more than he needs votes. So it's a really interesting paradigm. Plus, we've seen and we've heard reports of tension that Trump is upset at how omnipresent Musk is and how Musk is seeming to usurp his authority, usurp his credibility as president, being the de facto co-president at least. But right now, Trump has clearly got it in his head that he needs Elon Musk more than he needs his voters, and he is reluctant to sever ties with him, even though in theory he could. It's a problem that Trump is creating for himself. But again, the fact that Trump says he trusts Musk, I don't think he does. It would be really stupid if he did. The American people don't trust Elon Musk. And so this last clip we're going to play discusses the legal efforts by Democrats' attorneys general to keep Elon Musk out of the U.S. Treasury Department and other sensitive data. And again, really stupid by Trump to say, I don't even see, he's not getting anything out of it. He's one of the biggest beneficiaries of federal contracts and subsidies than anybody. And you don't think he benefits from having his hands on the levers of power and unparalleled access to our most sensitive information? Again, either a really dishonest answer from Trump or a profoundly stupid one. Here's the last clip.
Some of your plays have raised some questions and had some pushbacks. 19 states' attorneys general filed a lawsuit, and early Saturday, a judge agreed with them to restrict Elon Musk and his government efficiency team, Doge, from accessing Treasury Department payment and data systems. They said there was a risk of irreparable harm. What do you make of that? And does that slow you down on what you want to do?
No, I disagree with it 100%. I think it's crazy, and we have to solve the efficiency problem. We have to solve the fraud, waste, abuse, all the things that have gone in the government. You take a look at the USAID, the kind of fraud in there,
and you found significant things.
Well, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of money that's going to places where it shouldn't be going, where if I read a list, you'd say this is ridiculous, and you've read the same lists, and there are many that you haven't even seen. It's crazy. It's a big scam. Now, there's some good money, and we can do that through any one of a number. I think I'd rather give it to Marco Rubio over at the State Department. Let him take care of the few good ones. So I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
So again, what they're referring to, the legal challenges, we discussed them recently in previous videos, and other videos going to be dropping soon with my friend, co-host of Live and Learn and practicing attorney, Pisco, who breaks down the legal mechanics of this. But again, the fact of the matter is that there's a credible case that Doge has overstepped its remit and that Elon Musk is intruding in places he ought not be. And the so-called results that Trump claims are being produced, even if we take them at face value, which we never should because he's almost always wrong, and he's certainly wrong about the rampant fraud and abuse at USAID. I mean, it's been debunked to hell and back. But even if we granted the premise, why are you giving such unparalleled access to an unelected billionaire? Have some oversight. Just imagine if the shoe were on the other foot and it were a liberal billionaire, Mark Cuban, George Soros. Right-wingers would be rightly demanding aggressive oversight by our duly elected representatives. But because it's Trump and because it's MAGA, they don't adhere to principles. And when asked questions about this, they don't really have any good answers. And that's why the polling on Musk and Doge is what it is. So there we go. Donald Trump really doesn't have a plan to unify the country, to lower your gas and grocery prices, and he can't even manage softball interviews. So we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.